The 45-minute Thanos opening. Infinity War almost opened with 45 minutes of Thanos. No Avengers, no heroes, just the Mad Titan and his Black Order laying siege to Xandar, the planet from Guardians of the Galaxy, home of the Nova Corps, the place where Thanos picks up the Power Stone. In the final movie, this whole event is reduced to a few lines of dialogue. The Power Stone is just there in Thanos' gauntlet when we first see him. Easy to miss, easy to ignore. But originally, that was 45 minutes of screen time. Jim Starlin, the comics writer who created Thanos, confirmed it. Joe Russo emailed him about a month before release to say they'd cut it. They shot it. Then they pulled it back. Starlin said the team didn't want to spend the money on the visual effects, and they didn't want the runtime to balloon any further than it already had. The reason it got cut makes sense even if it stings. The Avengers don't show up for nearly an hour if you keep the Xandar sequence in. That's a long time to wait for the heroes everyone bought a ticket to see. Most of the audience would have been confused. Some would have been bored. So Marvel scrapped it, trimmed Thanos' grand entrance down to a few lines and a flashback. Of course, Infinity War still ran 2 hours and 29 minutes. They saved time, and the movie was still long. Now the rumor is that this footage could be repurposed for the Nova project Marvel has in development. The Siege of Xandar would tie directly into Richard Rider's origin, last surviving Nova Corps member, forced to inherit the Nova Force after Thanos wiped out his planet. There's a reason fans keep bringing this scene up. 6 years later, it's still the most wanted deleted footage in the entire MCU. Smart Hulk bursts from the Hulkbuster. This one almost happened. They shot it, they animated it, they even made a Hasbro toy and a Funko Pop based on it. The scene takes place during the Battle of Wakanda. Banner is in the Hulkbuster armor, getting pummeled by Cull Obsidian. Cull is about to kill him. Banner is begging the Hulk to come out. The same Hulk who refused to show up after Thanos beat him on the Statesman in the opening minutes of the movie, Banner pleads, tries one more time, and in the final moment, the two of them reach a compromise. They merge. Right there, mid-fight. The Hulkbuster armor explodes outward, and Smart Hulk steps out, the Banner Hulk hybrid that fans wouldn't see until Endgame's diner scene. He then grabs a Hulkbuster boot, hurls Cull into the energy dome over Wakanda, and kills him. It would have been one of the biggest crowd-pleaser moments in the entire movie, so why cut it? Writer Christopher Marcus told the New York Times the answer. It was tone-deaf. The third act of Infinity War is a march toward losing. Everyone's getting beaten, everyone's failing, Thanos is winning. And in the middle of all that, Smart Hulk shows up and has a big win. It would have been a high note in a section of the movie that needed to feel like falling, so the writers pulled it out. Banner stayed in the Hulkbuster the whole time. Smart Hulk got pushed back to Endgame and explained off-screen with one quick line about a Gamma Lab. The cool moment died so the emotional arc could survive, which is the right call. But it still hurts knowing the toys exist. Doctor Strange puts Thanos on trial. This is the most ambitious scene Marvel ever scrapped. During the Titan fight, when Mantis has Thanos in a trance and Spider-Man and Star-Lord are trying to pull the gauntlet off, the original plan was for Doctor Strange to do something else entirely. Strange blows Thanos' mind, sends him through the mindscape, the same trippy psychedelic dimension the Ancient One sent Strange through in his solo movie. And in that mindscape, Thanos faces all his crimes. Bodies thrown at him, worlds he destroyed, faces of the people he wiped out. Co-writer Stephen McFeely described it as Thanos zipping through the universe being presented with his many, many crimes. Bodies turning into hands grasping at him. Grim, his word. Then, at the end of the trip, Thanos lands in front of the Living Tribunal, the cosmic judge who maintains balance across realities. The tribunal finds him guilty. This was a massive concept. The Living Tribunal is one of the most powerful entities in all of Marvel Comics. Above the Celestials. Above Galactus. A being who literally judges whether universes get to keep existing. Putting him in Infinity War would have opened the entire cosmic side of the MCU in one scene. So why cut it? Marcus put it bluntly. If the Living Tribunal exists, why is Thanos a problem? The cosmic hierarchy would have undermined the entire stakes of the movie. If there's a being who can judge Thanos guilty, why isn't that being doing something about him? The scene introduced a god so powerful, it made the villain feel small. McFeely also noted that his grandmother wouldn't have understood it. Fair. The Mindscape detour also slowed down the Titan battle right when it needed to feel urgent. The Tribunal got pushed back to a future project. Fans are still waiting. Banner fights the Hulk in the Mindscape. This one is wild. Connected to the Mindscape concept, but bigger. There was a version of Infinity War where multiple heroes went into Doctor Strange's Mindscape and faced themselves. The dimension where you confront the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. And the most dramatic version of that was Bruce Banner, trapped in the Mindscape, forced to fight the Hulk one-on-one. In an arena, McFeely specifically referenced the arena from Thor Ragnarok. Banner versus Hulk. Only one of them was getting out. That's not a metaphor. One of them was going to lose. The other one was going to walk out merged. and that merged Hulk would have shown up in Wakanda as Smart Hulk for the third act. Think about what that would have looked like. The same arena where Hulk fought Thor in Ragnarok, now turned into a psychological battleground inside Strange's spell. Banner, who has spent the entire movie begging Hulk to come out, finally gets his chance to face him directly. Not as separate personalities, as opponents, two halves of one mind fighting it out for control. The winner stays, the loser dies, and the version that walks out is the one we got in Endgame. The pancakes-eating, selfie-taking, fully integrated Smart Hulk. Marcus admitted the scene was great, said it had nothing to do with anything, which is the writer's curse. Sometimes the coolest scenes are the ones that don't serve the story. They slow it down. They distract from Thanos. So the entire mindscape thread got pulled, taking this fight with it. Marvel could revisit the concept anytime. It hasn't yet. If you're loving this breakdown, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. We've got more coming. Let's keep going. The Guardians get their groove back. 3 minutes and 20 seconds. The Russos called this one their favorite cut, the hardest to leave on the floor. The scene takes place on the Milano right after the Guardians failed to stop Thanos from grabbing Gamora at nowhere. Star-Lord is wrecked. Drax is being Drax. They're bickering. Quill is processing the loss of Gamora the only way he knows how. Sarcasm, anger, half-broken attempts at being in charge. Drax keeps interrupting with comments that have nothing to do with anything. Classic Guardians dynamic. Pure James Gunn energy stuffed into a Russo brothers movie. Then Mantis interrupts them. The coded message channel has been emitting a strange yellow glow for 5 hours. Star-Lord checks. It's a distress signal. From Nebula. She's beamed out a location. That signal is the reason the Guardians end up on Titan, where they meet Tony, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange for the first time. So this scene technically explains a connection the final film just glosses over. In the theatrical cut, the Guardians just sort of show up on Titan. The audience doesn't really question how they knew to go there. This deleted scene was the answer. Anthony Russo specifically said it was very hard to cut. They loved it. It was funny, it was character-driven. It gave the Guardians a moment to breathe after losing Gamora. But the movie didn't need it for forward momentum. Infinity War is a freight train. Every scene has to push the plot. A 3-minute Guardians comedy beat slowed that train down even if it was great in isolation. So out it went, to the Blu-ray, where it lives as the easiest cut to wish back into the movie. The alternate ending without the snap. Infinity War almost didn't end with the snap. Stephen McFeely confirmed it in an interview with Empire. The early drafts had so much story crammed into them that the writers genuinely considered holding the snap back, pushing it to the end of Endgame's first act, meaning Infinity War would have ended without Thanos completing the gauntlet, without half the universe dusting away. Without that gut-punch closing image of Spider-Man telling Tony he doesn't feel so good, the cliffhanger as we know it almost didn't exist. Imagine that. The single most famous Marvel ending ever made almost wasn't an ending at all. Kevin Feige overruled the call. He said the snap was the entire reason to adapt the Infinity Gauntlet comic in the first place. The most shocking thing they could do. So Marvel locked it in as Infinity War's ending, and it became the defining cliffhanger of the entire Infinity Saga. 12 months of fans debating who would come back, how, and why. Without that ending, the marketing for Endgame doesn't work. The mystery doesn't exist. Audiences walk out of Infinity War thinking they watched a strong setup movie, not a cinematic event. McFeely also pointed out the alternative would have meant a delay between meeting Thanos and seeing his win. The pacing would have crashed. The Russos would have had to invent a new climax for Infinity War that wasn't the snap, and whatever they came up with almost certainly wouldn't have been as devastating. So Feige made the right call. Even if it was an executive overrule, Happy knows best. This one made it to the Blu-ray. It's 1 minute and 23 seconds long. It plays right at the start of the movie. Tony and Pepper are in Central Park. Same conversation we see in the final film about Tony's dream and the idea of having a kid. Except in this version, Happy Hogan shows up. He pulls up in a golf cart, flustered, panicking. He's trying to manage paparazzi who are hiding in the bushes around them, trying to keep Tony and Pepper out of the tabloids. Jon Favreau gets a few seconds of screen time. The scene exists. It was finished. It was ready to go in the movie. It got cut. Why cut a perfectly finished scene featuring Happy Hogan, especially in the 10th anniversary celebration movie? The Russo brothers had a bit part for Favreau as a nod to his role as the director of the first Iron Man, the man who built the MCU from nothing, and they almost gave him a moment in the biggest crossover film ever. But the scene didn't add anything to the story. It just put Happy in the frame for a second. The same conversation between Tony and Pepper continues afterward. So the Russos pulled it. Favreau wouldn't show up properly until Far From Home a year later. The cut is understandable. The shorter version with Strange interrupting Tony and Pepper hits harder. But knowing Happy was supposed to be in Infinity War for a heartbeat is a weird detail that almost nobody knows. Especially with the meme theory floating around that Happy is the MCU's actual anchor being. A father's choice. The longest Blu-ray deleted scene, 4 full minutes. It would have been the most emotionally devastating moment Thanos and Gamora ever shared. Longer than the cliff at Vormir. More personal than anything in the final cut. The scene takes place after Thanos captures Gamora and learns that she lied about the Soul Stone. Before the Vormir confrontation, he sits her down, and he uses the Reality Stone to show her a vision from her past. Her actual past. Her home planet. Her mother. The day Thanos showed up and started killing half the population. The moment he took her. 6-year-old Gamora running. Screaming. Watching everything she loved die. And then Thanos confronts her with the lies she told. The scene ends with him preparing to take her to Vormir. Why cut it? Because the scene that replaced it was tighter. The version that made the movie has Thanos using the Reality Stone briefly, getting the answer, and moving toward Vormir within minutes. This deleted version sat in the emotional weight much longer. It made Thanos more human, more vulnerable. Showed the actual relationship he believed he had with Gamora. The twisted father-daughter dynamic the movie hints at but never fully unpacks. The Russos likely felt 4 minutes was too much. They needed to keep the Soul Stone reveal moving, so they trimmed it down and pushed the emotional weight onto the Vormir cliff scene.